Hey everybody, welcome to Omnilucid Presents. Tonight we are going to do a live interview with the Barron's Game Room. So we'll be talking to Aaron and Melanie about their game Vilitum, which is on Kickstarter right now. We did a review for them the other day. I had a lot of fun with the game with just the few games that I've played so far. So trying to get as much coverage for them on this as possible. Really hoping, well, it's already funded, so I guess I don't have to worry about that happening. But really looking forward to the rest of the game getting here. If you guys have any questions for them, for us, anything while this is going on, feel free to put them in the comments. We'll get to those. And if you're watching this later, feel free to put them in the comments and we'll answer them then. So without further ado, we will bring the duo from the Barron's Game Room up here. How is it going, guys?
Doing good. Thanks for reaching out to us. Oh, sorry.
That's okay. No problem at all. Actually, Ords yells at me all the time because my whole setup is in the basement. So like, there's always people walking around and you'll hear it in that. But he does a great job of editing that stuff out. So most of you guys don't have to hear it, but he hears it all the time and he never lets me live it down.
Wow. We've got a bunch of animals at our house and a couple of dogs that think they need to let us know every time someone blows past our door.
Yep. Right there with you.
Wow.
Well, yeah. So welcome to Omnilucid. Thanks for letting me do the review for you guys. Lately I've been just kind of reaching out and kind of doing the cold call to people, so I never know what people's responses are going to be. And you guys were very gracious to send over the 2D copy and let me get a firsthand try at it. Like I said, it was a lot of fun. I couldn't wait to get it all like cut out and made, and now I'm like just chomping at the bit to get the 3D pieces out. The wizard came out cool, the one that you sent over. He looks super awesome, although I got to figure out well, you know what, that's one of my questions. I'll ask that in a little bit.
Okay.
So I'm just going to jump right in here. First thing I had was when did you guys start the Barron's Game Room? How long have you guys been doing this?
I'm not like 2020 has thrown off my perception of how long I've been doing this.
Yeah. Mine too. I'm still in 2019. Everything is still 2019 to me.
Yeah. I think we've worked it back to our first outing with our games ever was at Token Con, which is an Oklahoma board gaming convention. Token Con of 2018. Mm-hmm. And we had started on games about a year before that.
Yeah.
Like we've been working on it for a few months or so whenever we came across like hearing about Token Con, and we were like, okay, that's coming up in about a year, and that's going to be our first time like taking our games out. So I think we started around somewhere in 2017.
Okay. So do you guys have other games besides Vilitum?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I need to go through your guys' website a little bit more. I remember I went there the other day just to like, okay, hang on, let me see what I can find out real fast. And yeah, I guess I did not cruise around enough. So, so how many games do you guys have out then?
So we only have one other one published at the moment.
Okay.
It's a little wallet game called Button Mashers, and it itself is a spinoff from an earlier game. But we have a pretty large list of games that are, for the most part, ready to go to market, except for maybe getting some art assets finalized up on them. If I counted that up real quick, I think after Vilitum, Fighters, Rollers, Pocket, Mini Meeple, we've got at least 4 that are ready to go and 2 others that are on the brink of being ready to go.
Awesome. That is cool. I was actually pulling it up real quick here so I could just take a quick glance myself. Those actually, I will have to zoom in and look at them a little closer after we're all done here. Like I said, definitely check them out some more. So that's really cool. So it looks like mostly that they're all basically card games, and like you said, just like the pocket ones. I mean, from the quick glance that I just did, yeah. It was like literally like, okay, yep. All right.
So our next one coming out, which is we're hoping to launch Kickstarter for that in March, Mini Meeple Melee. That one is a combat arena game that fits into a mitt tin.
Okay, nice.
So that one's a little board game with some dice and stuff. Then 3 of the other ones are pretty much card games, with one of them being a press your luck dice game.
Nice. So it sounds like you guys are just basically hit the ground running and just go with it, huh?
Man, I have a problem. Like, so our earliest one, the one like technically the first game we started taking out was my game Super Combo Fighters, which was us taking things like Mortal Kombat and Street Fighter and all that and turning it into a card game, which I found out later does already exist, but much differently than how mine ended up playing out.
Yeah.
But at the moment when I first had the idea, I just somehow hadn't come across those other games, and
Yeah.
probably should have looked for them, but I didn't. And I guess it's a good thing I didn't, because, if I had, I might have decided not to make my game. And I'm actually really proud of that one. But from that, my brain just kind of couldn't stop. And I kept making spin-offs. So like from that one game, we made 4 spin-offs. So now it's the whole like Super Combo series of games.
Okay. Nice. How long have you been kind of basically, I guess, how long have you been designing games, like even prior to the Board Game Baron or the Baron's Game Room?
That was so I think we officially established ourselves, I guess, as the Baron's Game Room 2019. I think we officially made the page and stuff and really started marketing ourselves that way.
Oh, I meant more like just you personally. I mean, like as far as making them just for friends, family, all
I guess
that.
27 as the original. I think 2017 was when or maybe a little before that was when we first ever started. Technically, my first game idea ever probably came either late 2016, early 2017, which was a terrible Magic clone. As I think a lot of game designers start off with at some point. It's a terrible game. I called it Summoner's Rage. It's probably never coming out. It was Magic, but I added dice rolling in there for some reason.
Hey, give it a little more luck aspect. See what happens, right?
That was my idea. Was that like even the best creature could be defeated by a smaller, weaker creature if the dice rolls were proper. That was sort of my idea for it. But that got shelved a long time ago. I can't think up enough. Like, there's a lot of cards that go into designing something like that. Even just a big box what do they call them, LCGs, I guess. Even something like that. There's so many cards that went into it. I definitely at that time I was not equipped enough to figure that kind of stuff out. So I made up a handful of cards, tested a couple of games, and then was like, well, that was kind of fun. And then we had the Super Combo Fighter idea, and that was the one that worked much better. And that's what made us decide to like push forward on trying to release our games. And even though it's gotten pushed back in the release schedule for business reasons, it's what started us off on all this.
Oh yeah. There's a lot of pushback, especially now with all the COVID stuff and all that. That's basically what's holding us all up on because we're designing Jakar. I don't know if you guys are aware of that, but so we've been designing this game for a while now, and it's just like now we're in that state of like, okay, well, do we do this? Do we risk like the shipping issues? Like, we don't know what's going to happen. Is it kind of we're like, is it irresponsible to do this because we don't really know how much to ask for? It's our first Kickstarter. It's a lot of up in the air where we're just kind of like, okay, we need to kind of step back and really look at this, because our main thing was, if we would have launched like last year and like we were getting ready to ship now, and it was like, hey, now you're paying $15,000 instead of $2,000 or whatever they're saying for the containers, like that would have just ended us already. So it's a lot to take in. That's why when I saw with Vilitum that you guys were doing basically the print and play, and I'm assuming I don't think I ever actually asked you. So are you guys printing out all the physical copies yourself?
Yeah. We have a 3D printer here, and it's what we made our prototypes with. And so, but basically, the physical copies we're making were ones that we're gonna print out ourselves. We're buying a few things from online, like Game Crafters, like the box and all that. But
I saw that.
We'll put.
I saw that update the other day. I was just like, oh, I wonder where they're going with. But that's awesome. We've we got a few prototype stuff from the Game Crafter, so it's nice quality. It's a little pricey, but it's definitely nice quality.
Yeah, it works. It gets the job done.
Oh yeah, definitely.
So that's pretty much what it is, and that's why we have a limited number on it. Is just because we don't have a team or anything. We don't have a bunch of printers. We have one printer and the 2 of us. So that's why we set it as 25, just so we wouldn't get just because that was our limit on how much we thought we could do in about 6 months. Because we wanted to start getting this wrapped up in time for that next Kickstarter in March. After that, though, if we once we get it all out, though, we'll see about maybe adding some physical versions to our website and all that. So then maybe people can come in later and get a physical version then if they want.
Mm-hmm.
Nice. That's awesome. Yeah. And it was cool too, just to see that you guys were doing that, because that was actually one of the options that me and Brian, my partner, in was we were had that exact same thought. We were like, well, I have the 3D printer. I can make the pieces. Can we make the boards? Can we do this ourselves? And we'll just have to do limited runs and, like maybe 100 games at a time, or who knows? And so yeah, so it was, as soon as I saw that and I was talking to Brian about it, I was like, hey, this kind of looks like what we were thinking. And he looked through, he's like, yeah, that's exactly what they're doing. So, yep.
I mean, you do what you can to get your games out. That's important when you're a small business. You just got to get your games to as many people as you can.
Yep, exactly.
Our little printer's going like right now as we speak, just printing off some pieces.
Yeah. So what printer do you guys have?
We have an Ender 3 Pro.
Okay. It's the exact same thing that I got. So that must be why the piece printed out so well. I even ran it. I ran it without any supports because I was like, it looks like they had that in mind. Like every little aspect of this wizard, like everything's kind of on that gradual gradient up. So I was like, I think they had this in mind. Like, was that a thought when you guys were designing the pieces to try and avoid supports, or it just worked out that way?
It kind of just worked out. I will say the soldier piece, if you get that expansion on there, he definitely actually requires some, and he specifically requires you to have the supports touching anywhere, not just the base. Otherwise, his shield won't print.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was the other thought I had too when I was looking at the pieces on the Kickstarter. I was like, well, are any of these going to need anything? But just the way that the wizard is like holding his book out, that was where I was like, if he's good, pretty much all of these look like they should be okay. But yeah, I can't. The soldier piece is the only one where it's a little harder to see. Where I was like, I can't quite tell where all his pieces are at. But
yeah, he's unfortunately has a free floating shield, so his unfortunately. Yeah, the little cape. Yeah, the cape kind of too. Otherwise, I think it's usually for the most part. Like we usually print them with supports, but they don't. They kind of touch pretty minimal areas.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's just a habit that we always have them on.
Yeah.
I typically do as well. It's just certain things. My main concern was I was like, man, I don't know if I have a support in there and I try and break it off, am I going to snap off his arm or something? Because I've had that happen with other things that I've printed where it's like, okay, be careful, and it's like, oh, there goes their their torch or their sword or whatever it is that they have.
We've luckily never had the issue with any of the pieces. The only one that we have to be a little careful with is the soldier piece.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, all the rest of them, we've never had an issue with them breaking off with the supports or anything.
Cool. Well, I'll just go in there since we're talking 3D printing. So what filament did you guys use? Because I love did you paint them like that, or do you have a filament that actually gives it that stone look? Because it looks awesome.
It's painting. That's part of the paint stuff. It's just some texture paint we found.
Okay.
The idea for this game has always been that it's kind of like a dwarven chest. Like if you read through the story on the Kickstarter, our friend is sort of placed this game in this world Camria that he created, and the dwarves of that world made up Vilitum, and that's always kind of been the idea. So the idea was always that they were kind of carved out of stone or something like that. So when I stumbled across some texture paint one day at Walmart, and I was like, that looks like it might work the part, and people loved it, and we kind of liked it. So that's been our go-to for it.
Otherwise, I think in Cura, if you use that slicer, I've been thinking about printing off like just one piece because there is a setting that is called fuzzy skin that might give it a more texturized look. I haven't tried it yet, but I did see that on one of the 3D printing groups I'm a part of, and I was going to try and give that a shot and see how it turned out.
She's our 3D printer person.
Okay. I'm a 3D printer person, but I still just use the Creality slicer that it came with, because so far I've been able to do everything I want. The only thing I wish it had was tree supports, because everybody talks about how tree supports are amazing.
We do Cura.
Yeah.
It's free, so
I think I tried it once, and it was right when I first started 3D printing, and it was just like it overwhelmed me. Where I was like, this is a lot to learn all at once. Like I'm trying to figure out the machine now. I have to try and figure out this program. Like I'll just go little by little. So
there are a lot of options.
I need to give it another go, another fair shot for sure. So the next thing I wanted to ask, so what is Vilitum? I even double read through the story of all the dwarven stuff. I was like, did it say in there? I was like, I don't remember. Does that have a specific meaning, or is that a name that you came up with because it sounds cool? Or
so yeah, whenever I first came up with the idea, I knew I wanted some kind of one-word name. I don't know. Just when I think of abstract games, it's what you get. It's just one word. So chess, checkers, one column. They're not titles or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So I knew I wanted something like that, and I sat around brainstorming. I asked all my friends at the time. I was like, hey, if you have any ideas, let me know. We tried to come up with any kind of weird name we could find. And eventually we started digging into just foreign languages because, once again, I know that a lot of old abstract games, their names actually come from some sort of like just old word or phrase kind of slightly changed. Like I believe Moncala just means walk or movement or something like that. And I think chess itself used to mean like cheese was sort of where checkmate came from, or check or whatever. Mm. Anyway, knowing that about saying, we started digging into foreign language stuff and thinking of like phrases that we would try and translate over and make it up out of that. And that's where we eventually came across this. So Vilitum is actually, we were Googling 5 soldiers because the original game is just the 5 pieces.
Right.
So when we looked for that in Latin, it was V militum. Okay. So we just dropped the M from militum and squished the V over Vilitum. So
nice.
Vilitum comes from Latin 5 soldiers.
Very cool. Hey, that works. It was when I was like reading through, because there's a couple spots on the scroll where I can't tell what the word says because of just like the cursive in that, and I'm like, let's see, anywhere. It's like, oh, there's Vilitum. Nope, just talking about the game. Okay, so yeah, I went through there.
And that doesn't mention where the name comes from. That one just sort of mentions where the game came from, but no, there's no mention of the name thing.
Yeah, it's a cool backstory. The one thing I was wondering about that, and this might even be a answer for the latest update, is why are there no dwarven pieces? I mean, I guess they're not races. I guess they're classes. They're not races. So I guess technically any of them could be a dwarf. Or they could all be dwarves.
The warrior piece is specifically a dwarf.
Okay. All right.
We had the idea of things, since he was the tallest piece, it made sense to put the shortest character on top.
Yep.
So it wouldn't be too towering above the rest.
All right. So,
and we figured dwarves would probably put a lot of pride in their warrior.
Yep.
The biggest, technically strongest piece of the game. So, yeah.
So you're telling me I just have to be patient until the 3D version gets here, and then I'll get all my answers to everything.
I mean, we're here to talk. We'll talk about them all day. No problem.
Well, here's a freshly printed white one. But I don't know if my camera will focus on it.
It's close. I mean, I can't get the very small details, but I can see the big, giant, double-sided battle axe. So yes, and the big like cloak looks very like dwarven royalty type stuff.
Yeah,
he's got a big shield in the back. Yeah, the pretty much everyone has somewhere on them the item we use to, like, on the 2D version, their little pictures, they for the most part translate over to their pieces pretty well. The warrior piece does have an axe somewhere on him. Obviously, the archer's got his bow, the rogue's carrying a dagger, wizard's got his hat, and the cleric has his staff. So the little icons on there kind of relate to something on the pieces.
Yeah. Well, and that's, I mean, even the little icon. I mean, like, you guys might even be able to see. I still have it sitting right here. Even like the icons, even for like the 2D version, I really like it because it's just very simple, standard icons, but at the same time, I mean, what they are. Like, you just like, oh yeah, okay, I got it. It's real quick to pick up for just very simple icons. So, I thought that was a great touch. What's your guys' experience been so far with the campaign overall? Because this is your first actual Kickstarter campaign?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah,
okay, yeah. So what's your experience been for just Kickstarter in general, and like going through the campaign?
I mean, so far it's been a pretty smooth experience. I think. I mean, we the getting everything set up was a bit of a stressful mess because we kind of, perfectly honest, we kind of came up with the idea of putting on Kickstarter a little late, so we were rushing pretty hard to get everything ready for that. But otherwise, I mean, it's been a relatively smooth process. I mean, we're very happy with the amount of people we've had so far. I mentioned in one of our recent updates that to be perfectly honest, since we hadn't done this before, we really weren't expecting many people to come in. We kind of, there was a part of us that was like, we're setting our goals so low, we're certainly gonna fund, but there was still a part of us that was like, I mean, no one's heard of us, and we haven't really advertised this much. I mean, we might be cutting it close too. We don't know. So
last I looked, I think you guys were just getting close to about 1,000. I think you were at like 970 something.
Yeah, I think it's 978.
Okay, so yeah, and if I remember, was that the first stretch goal that you guys were doing? Oh, there we go.
Yeah, at 1,000, we'll do the full upgraded box to be fully colored and everything on all sides. Because we already just making up for what we should have done in the first place. We've already gone from the originally. I mean, we kind of have it here. Originally, we were going to kind of just print off some sticker bits and put them on, like we've done with our prototype box.
Okay.
But that was from an earlier mindset when we were trying to sell everything for. We were really underselling ourselves. What we were. We had set it at this insanely cheap price that was probably going to end up screwing us over in the long haul. Just as we were really undervaluing ourselves, thinking like, as I said, we didn't know people would see us and be willing to pay. We had some friends talk us out of it and, say, hey, basically think about all the work you're about to put into printing this stuff off. Think about how much, if you go online, people selling 3D prints just online in general already are, and you're basically doing that. And we're like, okay, you're right. Yep. So with that, we ended up kind of upping our price a little bit, but we still had the plain box from that earlier mindset of like, we have to make this as absolutely cheap as we possibly can make it. So that was an apology on us and not updating the box. So we already decided on our own. We were going to at least do the Game Crafter thing to get the whole top and side colored. But to do the whole box overall, that was the first stretch goal, is to have the whole box look all pretty and designed up and colored and everything. So, which we already have designed now, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Do one of you guys do your designs? I think you had. Yep. Awesome.
Disney.
That's what I thought. I was like, I think I remember that Melanie was like the head designer or lead designer, or I can't remember the titles that you guys used, but yeah. It definitely helps.
I'm the game designer and she's the graphic designer.
Yeah, that definitely helps. That's, again, you guys are like right on the line with me and Brian, because I'm the lead game designer and then he's the artist. So Brian does all the artwork, and I've been told by lots of other creators and that they're just like, oh man, having an artist as one of the people on the game, they're like, it saves you so much money. Like they can just do everything. Like you don't have to do the back and forth. It's just, hey, we need to adjust this a little bit. Okay, hang on a sec. Let me go in and work my magic, and there you go. So
yeah, it's been a lot of help. Like we still do when we have games that actually have like full art assets on them. Like we do have to reach out for that. We've been slowly getting the ones for Super Combo over the past year or so. I mean, not to talk about that one too much. Just a quick thing. If I made the mistake of putting too many unique cards into that game, so the moment we figured out how much art we had to pay for, I was like, this is great. Never again. But
once you get them though, it's an awesome. Have you gotten any like the samples for them already?
Yeah, we've got all the digital files. We're over halfway through on that one now. So
we have about 80 individual art assets that are being designed, and it's a lot.
Yeah, that is a lot. I don't think we even have that many for Drakkar, and ours features a fair amount of cards. But yeah, again, Brian does all of ours, so
it's just that like in that game, the special attack deck for it, I thought it was a cool feature that like every special attack is unique. We don't have any repeats, so it's 50 unique special attacks.
Yep.
Which is 50 unique art pieces on top of the art we need for the characters themselves, the basic player decks, the technique deck, which thankfully I didn't make the techniques all unique.
Yeah.
There's some repeats there, thank God.
Yeah.
But it just those on top of that 50, and it's a lot. So we still have to reach out for some artists, but she's able to handle a lot. She's sorry, both got coughs over here. She's handles all the graphic design stuff. She's actually handled all the art for that other one we're working on, Mini Meeple Melee. She's handled all the art, all of it. So she handles quite a bit, but when you got to get specific certain things, certain art styles and all that, we still have to reach out. But graphic design still covers so much. A lot of our friends in the area, same way, they're like, oh, you guys are so lucky that you get to have someone on your team that can handle all that.
Yep.
It's hard.
Yeah, as much as you can in house, it definitely helps. Let's see. So we already went through that. So last kind of thing I had for Vilitum before we can jump into other board games. Any secret kind of things with the game as far as like funny development stories or a particularly difficult design process? Anything like that it's kind of like, oh yeah, we had a lot of issues with this, or oh, this just happened to work out when we did this thing.
So and this is gonna sound almost like a weird brag, but we've honestly been really lucky with most of our game designs. Most of them. We haven't had a lot of struggles to a lot of them. A lot of them have kind of just fell into place really well. There was even one of them that I'm not going to say that I'm someone who's like super great at like knowing the right way to balance everything out right away. But it's almost like I fall into it right, because we had someone who simply wanted to test whether that Mini Meeple game we have, the characters were balanced, and we were like doing a playtest at a college. So the guy just sat down with like a calculator and started typing away, comparing out the different heroes, and it was like, yeah, you pretty much nailed it. And I think I just, with some games, I tend to accidental myself into doing pretty all right. So, and Vilitum honestly was kind of another one of those. It probably benefits that I did just lift the movements from chess.
Yeah.
So like that's tried and true stuff. Can't take any credit for that, but from there, the rest of it mostly fit. The game sort of has and hasn't changed a whole lot from the beginning. The basic version of it, that beginner version, that was much more close to the initial idea, but that's how we usually start. We always start, with a really basic concept and see if that works before we start adding in the rest. Mm-hmm. I think the original version of the game was just that beginner version. The only difference is, even in the beginner version, the warrior dealt 2.
Yeah. And
it was a little later that we came up with why doesn't everyone have a special ability instead of just the cleric and the warrior? And which, as I agree with you. I think that's when the game really, shines, really exploded into its full, strategic depth and all that.
It really, that was, and I think that's too, I was going to say, I think you did a great job of balancing with because like you said, it's chess movements, which, again, like I said in the review, if you already know how to do it, it's pretty nice. You can just you can jump right into the advanced version, but I think you still had them balanced pretty well. Just how everybody attacks even. I think it's the archer and the wizard attack the same, the rogue and the warrior, they attack the same, but even though they do, they don't feel like they do because of the special abilities and what they're able I know in a few of the games with the rogue especially, I was always constantly trying to position my other pieces so that I could do that. Or let's see, what did you call it? It's basically the sneak attack or the flanking.
We usually call it flanking.
Yeah. So I was trying to do that, and it was just, it's the same attack as the warrior, but the whole time I'm like, no, get the flank. How can I get there? I gotta get behind him. So it worked well. So Ord's asking, can you tell me more about the playtest process? How long did you guys playtest for?
So this is actually one of our newest games for the most part.
Mm-hmm.
I think I just came up with this idea like last November or so.
Yeah, like during the pandemic.
Yeah, it was for sure sometime last fall, I believe, when I came up with the idea initially. And the idea was literally just me being like, man, personally, I really love abstract strategy games, and I was kind of on a kick at the moment where I was really just appreciating abstract strategy games a lot.
Like Tak and Onitama.
Yeah, Tak, Onitama, Moncala is my personal favorite, and so I was really appreciative of the moment. And I was like, I hadn't done it yet, and I really wanted to see, like, okay, well, what can I come up with? So, and that's all it was. I just told myself I want to make an abstract game, and I kind of sat there thinking about it until I did. And what I kind of initially, the idea that got me on it was I took chess and I sort of crammed it with that mini meeple game we've been working on a little bit. I took some of the classes or types from that, and in fact, some of the logo, the icons on those pieces, some of them are ones she designed for that game. I just took a little of that. It's probably because that's the main one I was working on at the time. Otherwise, so that was fresh in my hand. So I kind of looked at that and I was like, what if I sort of tried to make this less of a combat arena and more of an abstract game? That was the earliest iterations of Vilitum. So after coming up with the idea and forcing her and one of my buddies to play it a couple of times with me and make sure I wasn't a crazy person, that like, this is all right? This is kind of good, isn't it? We printed out some pieces and then took it to a local gaming store where we live. There's a town, Norman, that's not too far from here, a game shop there. Us and some other game developers get together once a month with our prototypes and just have a free playtest day. So basically people can come on in, they can try out our games, and if they give us feedback, we give them a little raffle ticket. And at the end of the event, we draw the raffle and we have a little prize of games and like game accessories they can win something from. So
nice.
Incentive them to come in, play some games, give your feedback, and you might win a little prize in the process.
Yeah, we're really lucky in that aspect to have that group of people.
A lot.
Because you can, like, if you find people who are like-minded and like do this sort of thing, like you can bounce ideas off of each other, you can ask for advice. Like literally how we found them was like they were having a meeting on like how to like build your own board games and like how to like contact people for shipments and stuff, and we were like, well, that's interesting, so we went. And
it was that first Token Con. We kind of bumped into a few of the members, and they told us about their get-togethers, and that they've been a huge help at a lot of this. I mean, they're kind of, thankfully, some of them have already done a few Kickstarters, so they're sort of helping guide us through a little bit of this, giving us some of the points to watch out for and all that. So
nice,
that's part of our play testing is just having a good group of other game designers or game players that are willing to come in and help us out each month and all that. It's a big help. So it's not just us playing all the time.
Yeah, that would be something that would be nice around here. I looked around at the couple of the close game shops, and they don't have anything like that. I went around, I asked all, and they're like, "Oh yeah, you can come in and play if you want to like rent a table or something." It's like, okay, yeah, it's like I can't afford to like rent a table every so often. Luckily with Tabletop Simulator, and we were able to get Drakkar on there. That's been like our biggest help, is just going on there and, hey, who wants to play? And anywhere in the world, look, jump in here, see how it is, tell us what you think. But yeah, if I could, I would much rather play in person, because it's always nice to like, actually sit across the table from somebody and play the game. And, it's not just the game, it's the actual interaction and all that as well. So yeah, that would definitely be the better way to do it.
We're trying to figure out the whole digital space thing. Like we're looking into figuring out Tabletopia and Board Game Simulator and all that, or whatever, Tabletop Simulator.
Yeah.
So we just haven't messed with them before, so we're not sure what's needed for it. But
Tabletop is the only one that I've messed with, but I feel so comfortable with it where I'm like, yeah, I'm just not. I don't plan to go to any of the other ones. I think you guys could probably. I mean, you could some way somehow get it on there. One of the other thing that I thought was funny about Vilitum, like the comparison between Vilitum and Drakkar, because Drakkar is also abstract strategy.
Okay, cool. Great.
And we also have damage tracking on the pieces. And again, one of the early concepts was, should we just put rings on them? So when you guys had the rings, I was like, that is such a better way to do it than what we were planning. Like, oh, good for them. They figured out the best way to do this. But so ours is you have little arrows that actually stick into the pieces.
Oh,
so the pieces, like as they take damage, you can see the damage, and it looks like they're walking around with arrows sticking out of them.
That's cool.
I like that.
No, I like that a lot. That's great.
neat.
It's a really awesome design.
Yeah,
It's always funny to see those kind of similar ideas things. Not to keep going back to it, but ever since we started going out with Super Combo Fighters, it became a regular thing for other designers and friends to be like, hey, just so you know, and they'd send us some other game with a similar name or kind of a similar concept. And I think one of the worst cases, we did have a little golf game I was kind of playing around with a little bit. And I was kind of liking it. And then one day I'm searching through Kickstarter and I'm like, well, that's just my game.
Yeah.
And that idea kind of got dropped pretty quick. It was like, well, I mean, that's pretty much it. And they've funded, so that game's out there. And okay, I guess we'll push that one off to the side. Maybe it'll come out later. Probably not.
Yeah.
Yeah, luckily so far nothing has been exact. There's been elements, the whole arrows, which I thought when I came up, I was like, man, this is going to be so cool and all that. And now there's the board game Ignite that came out, which it just like finally is getting shipped to people. But in that game, they have damage tracking with daggers that you stick in the backs of the pieces. I'm like, well, I guess at least it's daggers. I guess we're not going to be the first to have the damage tracking on the piece and all that. But no, what I was going to say for tabletop is, so what we ended up having to do, because we can't do, pieces like arrows going into the pieces on there, is it's literally just a stack of tokens. And as they take damage, you just remove a token off of that piece. And when all your tokens are gone, that piece is dead. So you guys, you could honestly do the exact same thing we did. It just have a stack for the pieces and move them around that way. So it's pretty easy once you get in there. But I say to this day, every single time I play tabletop, I learn like a new hotkey or some other thing that I can do on there where it's like, okay, constantly learning. Got it. But yeah, no, it's definitely been a lifesaver in COVID times for sure. But if you guys got the game, that's awesome. All right, so let's get into some other board games. I'm assuming you guys are avid board gamers with other games as well. And
if I could, before we run off it, actually, there was one thing from your review I actually wanted to kind of toss in.
Oh yeah, definitely.
I might have already said this already. If I have, my bad. You mentioned not being, not necessarily needing the beginner version of the game, and I totally agree. Like we put that there just because I'm used to kind of seeing that in games. Often there's some sort of like first time or something like that thing. But the real reason we kind of kept it in there and why we bothered to give like a whole separate character sheet for it, it's for kids.
Yeah. Oh no. And I don't remember exactly how I put it in the video. I think you guys absolutely should have it in there.
Yeah.
No, I'm not saying you shouldn't have it in the game at all. And again,
I want to make sure people caught that. Like that's what we think. Since it says like we advertise it being for 7 and up, but we don't necessarily advertise like the advanced version of the game for 7 and up.
Yeah.
I'm sure that I think 7 and up you'll still be okay too. Just once they get playing a bit. No, that's why I was saying if you're familiar with chess, then you're probably okay. Because I was even thinking back when I first started playing chess, and I think I was even like 10. And that initial like trying to figure out like how do they move, especially that knight, the weird L. It's like, wait, how does this work? I don't get this. But so it's definitely needed to be in there. And again, going to the Drakkar comparison again, we have the exact same in ours. There is the beginner level where it's literally there's no cards, there's none of the special features except here are your pieces, here's how they move, and here's how they attack. And go ahead. And that's, we say the exact same thing. Hey, for your first game, we recommend playing this way just to get a feel for the pieces. So no, I like I said, I don't remember exactly how I put it in there, but I thought I'd said, if you're familiar with movements.
You did. I just wanted to make a specific point of the younger audience part of it. Yeah, I totally agree. For adults, it's not super necessary. We've had a few adults that just I don't know at our playtesting. I don't know if they're not super familiar with chess or if or some of them are almost a little too familiar with chess and they like have a hard time understanding. Like, no, I need to attack.
Yeah.
So
hey, Kashik, thanks for joining us. Kashik is one of our usual customers. She comes and hangs out a lot, so always fun to have her in here. Okay, yeah, so we're gonna get into, and now that since both you guys are on, so both you guys can answer separately unless you are just absolutely the same on everything. I would kind of hope not, but hey, all right, so the first one is, what is your favorite board game?
See, I get this so much, and it's so hard for me to like narrow it down. I
have a favorite.
You go for it because I know you've got one.
Yeah, I do have a favorite, and it's Betrayal at House on Haunted Hill, or just House on the Hill.
Betrayal at House on the Hill.
Our friend started calling it on Haunted Hill, and
no, he calls it everything but its name. That is an intentional joke to call it any combination of betrayal and haunted and scary stuff than except for its name.
I think literally everyone calls it some weird combination of the full name, which is why I honestly just call it Betrayal anymore, because
everyone calls it Betrayal.
I think everyone knows it as that. And yeah, every time I say, I'm like, wait, is it Betrayal at Haunted House on the Haunted? Wait, how does it go?
Yeah, Betrayal at House on the Hill.
But we have the original, and then we also have the expansion as well.
The Widow's Walk.
Yeah, that's actually, so Ord's, we actually have a video up of us playing it. It was Ord's first time and my partner Brian, his first time. They both absolutely loved it.
Brian, we have a good story about that one, actually.
Yes.
So we initially became aware of it through YouTube. I want to say it was Tabletop with Will Wheaton or whatever.
Yeah.
I think that's where we became aware of it and all that. We decided to get it. That'd be really fun. Our roommate at the time wasn't much of a board game player, but he would hang out with us and would play board games. And we were gonna, whip it out one night and play it for the first time right after we got it. And I explained it out to him. And as soon as I'm done explaining it out, he goes, "So, is it like Clue?" And I'm like, "No, it's not like Clue. Like, just come play it." And he's like, "All right, fine, I'll come play it." So, we explore the house and all that. We find our items and stuff, and then the haunt hits. Bad dice roll. It happens. The haunt strikes. Haunt number, 37. Get a clue.
Yeah.
So I mean, if you've come across that haunt before, but it's just clue themed haunt.
Okay. No, I don't. It doesn't sound familiar, so I must not have.
Yeah. So that was the first one we got with him. So immediately I kind of rolled my eyes and I was like, okay, fine. This time it's like Clue, but it's not normally.
That is funny. We've played, my wife Ashley, so she loves that game as well, and we have played, which it's typically just the two of us, so we kind of have house ruled it so we can play it with two players, where we just you play with I can't remember if we play 4 or 3. It's been a while now since we played, but either way, we play with multiple characters, and then whoever ends up being the enemy, you just hand over all your other characters you aren't using, and they play, they two-handed or whatever they're doing, and then we split up and we do it because we just loved it so much. We were like, well, we can't get 3 people over here all the time, but we want to play more. So how can we do this? And so that's what we did. Let's see. I think, but we've probably played, 15, 20 times or so. And I don't think we've gotten the same haunt twice yet, if I remember right. Let's see.
In the expansion, there are 100 haunts. So.
Yeah, okay. I know we've never intentionally played a repeat haunt, but I couldn't tell you if we've ever had the same haunt come up and then just decide to skip it or not.
Yeah, I'm sure if it was one that we remembered the haunt, we would probably skip it at this point just so we can continue to get to all of them.
Yeah. So I know we've never done the same one, but that doesn't necessarily mean that at some point we didn't just go, oh no, we've already done that one. I just couldn't tell you off the top of my head if we've done that.
Yeah. Let's see. So Orge was saying Oh, tell them our story. Yeah. So their first game, it was, I don't remember the haunt number. Oh well, I don't know if I can, because if I tell the story, it could
All right,
ruin it for other players.
I'm going to jump in and tell the story. We won't. I'll just give you the end because I think the end was the most epic part, and this is where I really fell in love with this game. It played out like a movie, right? And in the end, it was like I'll just tell them. Basically, I became a werewolf. Okay, I'll just tell them that. I won't give them the whole backstory because the story is actually really interesting, and how that game flips on it. There's really two parts of that game. There's the beginning and then the haunt, which is like they're really two separate games almost, right?
Totally.
Which I love. But it was like down to the wire. I was the werewolf. I had killed everybody, right? Other than Ashley. And Ashley, he'll tell you, right? Ashley is notorious for winning every single freaking game. And I'm about to deal the final death blow, right? I'm about to wring my claws down on her. Somehow she got a hold of the gun with one bullet in it. One bullet. I'm raining down the last strike, and she just wins the game. I was just like, are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? But it was so epic, and that game really, like, at least me, drew me in, and I love the stories behind it. And like you said, there's so many different stories to it. It's never the same every time. So anyway, I just had to tell the story because it played out like a movie. It really did. So
it really was. That was one of the more epic games that I've had too, because it really was. He was even charging down this hall. Like just how the room had been set up was a long hall. It was at least, I think it was like 4 or maybe even 5 rooms long, and they were in the basement, and Ashley was like getting the pieces that she needed together, and then he's like charging down the hall at her, and just as he got one room away, pulls out the gun, silver bullet, bang, and he loses. And yeah, it really was. It was like this could be a horror movie script. But I do have the I forgot what it is, the Witch's Haunt or the
Widow's Walk.
Widow's Walk. I have it. I have not played it yet, but that was another one. Brian loved that game so much as well that he went out and either for Christmas or whatever the next gift giving holiday was, he sent it to me. He's like, hey, here, I'm sending this to you so that we can play it.
that game actually inspired me to go out, I think, that next weekend and buy the Scooby-Doo version of it so I could play it with my kids.
Yeah.
Like
I didn't know there was a Scooby-Doo version. I knew there was a version.
Yeah, you got to check out the Scooby-Doo version. That's a lot of fun, man. And the kids loved it. So obviously we're going to play it this year too, but get the Scooby-Doo version.
To build a big enough group together to do the extra long haunt. So at the end of the Widow's Walk one, there's sort of a campaign you can play through.
Okay.
It's like you have to go through specifically, like there's 4 specific haunts you have to play through, like every character has to play through. Mm-hmm. And then if you do that, there's a 5th, like 101st special haunt you can do that's supposed to be like an extra long game or whatever that's called like Season of the Witch or something like that.
Yeah, it's called Season of the Witch.
Yeah. But you're supposed to have the same group of players go through all 5 games. Mm-hmm. So we've been trying to get our friends to agree to start coming over in some regular capacity to get to go through that whole campaign.
Well, there you go, Ryan. That's a new video, maybe. Just saying.
Yep, that would be cool. All right, we're getting up to our hour here, so I'm gonna do these a little more rapid fire. Oh, you know what, Aaron, you didn't say. Do you have?
So my usual jump to answer is King of Tokyo.
All right, fair enough. Great game, quick dice roller, a lot of fun.
I like a game that's easy to get into that has that strategic level on top of it, and I try that with a lot of my own games.
Yep. Yeah, I love.
You can get a kid into it, but adults aren't necessarily bored by it.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, I'm never bored by it. Although I do want to get King of Tokyo Dark because I want to see.
It looks cool.
It does. Yeah, it looks cool, and I've missed out on like every con I've gone to. They always have. I want to say it's like Cyber Kitty, but it's not Cyber Kitty. It's like some kind of tiger character that it's like it's like.
Yeah, he's one of the newest single monster expansions.
Yeah, the last
Sabertooth or something like that. He's a mecha that transforms between being just a robot Sabertooth tiger and then a like bipedal form, a robot form. Yeah, we've got him.
Yeah, that was one. I mean, I'm sure I could find it now, but when it first came out, it was like all the like at the cons, it's like, oh wait, they got it over there. Okay, let me go over there, and it's literally like, yeah, we just sold the last one. Yeah, sorry, we're out. And oh, are you getting any more? No, that's all we got. So, okay, so next up, what are you guys currently playing? What game are you currently playing now? So it doesn't necessarily have to be your favorite, just favorite thing that you guys are trying to get into the table the most at the moment.
Oh, I guess that Kickstarter. We just
I guess the most recent couple of plans, we recently got a new Kickstarter. I mean, a new expansion for Onitama. So we've been playing that one the past few days, and we just got in a game we backed on Kickstarter called Clash of Decks. So we've been playing for the past couple days now.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I haven't heard of Clash of Decks. The Onitama, that's one I keep looking at where I'm like, do I want to get these expansions? Yeah, yep, it's over there. I don't. Is it because is it the Way of the Sensei or whatever, where you have like the water or the wind?
Yeah, there's Sensei's Path is technically an old one they've had for a long time. There's no reason not to get that. It's just more cards.
Yeah.
But the other two are actually, I changed stuff to the game and all that. Way of the Wind is the one we just got that adds in this wind piece that can mess with your pieces and like swap. It can make itself swap places with pieces and all that and move them around. And I don't think this is actually out. I think it's just for pre-order. There's the Way of Shadow and Light.
Yeah.
We haven't gotten that one. I recently saw that one and I was like, well, cool. That one adds like ninjas that move on a hidden board behind like a screen.
Yeah, I gotta write that down because that just sounds cool.
Yeah, right.
Shadow and Light. Gotta look it up. Yeah, I love Onitama. Again, like you said, the abstract stuff. I just love abstract games like that, especially that one where, again, super simple, but it's one of those how's that saying go? Easy to learn but hard to master. Yeah. I love games like that. It's always fun.
We bought that game in our honeymoon and played it our honeymoon included a train trip down and back to our destination. So like we played it like the train, like the whole way down there and the whole way back, pretty much.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Well, that's the other thing. It's so like compact, and I'm sure I could probably get it even more compact if I took it out of that box. And I mean, a nice thing would be maybe I'll just make it myself, like a bag that, like, okay, you cinch the bag up and all the pieces are in, but then you can, I mean, a lot of other games have done it. And then you fold the bag out and it's got the grid on it. Okay. What are you guys looking forward to? Whether that's either a new game coming out on Kickstarter or just a new game that you guys are just looking forward to playing that's already been out.
I've personally been really wanting to get Escape the Dark Castle for a while. It's a game I came across back when it was on Kickstarter, but ended up not backing it.
Mm-hmm.
But since then, we got a chance to play it with a friend, and like since then, I feel like every couple of weeks I'm back on the website with my cart full of it and all the expansions, staring at it, going, "Do I have the money this time?" And then I could go, no, because that's a lot. And I'm really bad about not being able to just buy like a part of it. Like if I like something, I'm like, I need all of this.
Yeah. You get the FOMO going a little bit there.
I'm FOMOing at the mouth.
That's been one recently that I've been trying to rein in, because I'm the same way as well, especially with Kickstarter, is where it's really bad. And I mean, people have already put out there like, yeah, they know what they're doing to get you to buy all the stuff. But recently I've been doing a lot better of like, do I really need all this stuff? No, I don't need all that. There's only a few things where it's like, if I don't get it now, I know I'm going to pay big time later. So it's like, yeah, I guess I need to go all in on this. But other things I'm like, nah, I just need the base game. I got plenty of games. I don't play them all. Like give myself to catch up.
Yeah. Another one I've really wanted is someone back there on your shelf. I've been really wanting to get into Dice Throne for a long time.
Oh, I love Dice Throne. My buddy introduced me to it 2018 or 19. That was actually, well, it was kind of a funny story because he came to a party I was having and he brought his bag of games and he was like, "Hey, have you played Dice Throne?" And I hadn't. I was like, "Yeah, sure, let's try it out." I played it. I loved it. I instantly bought season 2. He had season 1. I bought season 2 because I wanted the battle chest. me and my wife played it like fiends for like probably 2 weeks and before Gen Con. So I guess it was 2019. So we just played it like every day for 2 weeks straight. And then I went to Gen Con and just randomly I entered the Dice Throne tournament because I really just needed something to do at night and it was happening at night. So I was like, yeah, sure, I'll try it out. I'll probably get beat quick because I've only played a handful of games. Like I don't know all there is to it. They have season 1 characters and I've only played one of them. And I actually ended up coming in second place, getting beat out by the previous year's champion. So I was just like, man, that was awesome. That was so much fun. And but yeah, now Dice Throne Adventures is a lot of fun, and now they got the Marvel Dice Throne coming out as well. So I'm really curious to see what they have for.
I'll be honest, I'm not often a fan of licensed ones. Sometimes I can be okay. I tend to have an issue, especially if they come into a pre-existing thing.
Yeah,
we like Smash Up quite a bit, and they recently released the Marvel Smash Up.
Yeah,
I'm not touching that thing. You couldn't pay me to touch that thing.
Mm-hmm.
They were showing off the cards and like the lead up to it, and I was constantly just like, that looks awful. I don't want that. I don't like these changes you're making.
Yeah, and I can understand that Marvel's one especially that is, it bugs me with certain games. I mean, I love Marvel, and that's probably one of the things where it's like keeping me where I'm like I always have to base it off of, okay, let me really look at this game and what are they doing with the Marvel characters. And that's where, but unfortunately, like Marvel's just like the hot thing that it seems like it's going into every game. Like, and here's our Marvel variant. Here's our Marvel.
Yeah. I think one reason that might have bothered me with that too is just because Smash Up's whole thing is like parody.
Yeah.
Like it's kind of the appeal of like that game is how it's totally not the Power Rangers. It's definitely not Pokemon you're playing as.
Yeah.
And when you bring the license into it, I'm like, well, that kind of takes away a bit of the like appeal of it, you know?
Fun.
Yeah.
You know?
And then they were like, don't call them minions. No.
Yeah, they're characters now, not minions. I don't want Captain America. I want like Colonel US or something, you know?
Yeah. And that's where like I totally get, and even in the Dice Throne Marvel like comments, like people are, it's really split like back and forth. However, Marvel Dice Throne is one where I'm like, nope, that works. It works for me, at least. For me, it works putting Marvel characters in there. I know a lot of people are like, but it's its own thing. You don't need Marvel and all that. But just the way that the mechanics of the game are. Yeah. I mean, obviously, I haven't played it yet, and I haven't seen it yet since it hasn't come out. But in my head, I'm like, nope, I think that can really work. And the fact that it's giving me more characters. That's the other thing. Just more characters in general. I'm like, yes, give me more. I love Dice Throne so much. But the other one
we've got the Marvel expansion to HeroScape sitting around with our stuff too. I mean,
so it's just, work for sure. It's certain games. Yeah, I can't. There was one I remember that came out and it was like, hey, here's our Marvel. I'm like, I don't care. It's like I'm not buying. And the worst part is if it's the reskin, which they've already said for Dice Throne, no, that's not what it is. They're giving them their own thing. So the reskins really bother me where it's like, hey, here, buy, like if they were something like buy Marvel Onitama, they move exactly the same, but now you can kick each other's butts as, hey,
that's cash grab stuff. That's just like, you didn't like our game before, but maybe now you'll check it out. Yeah. And it does work sometimes. Some games themes fit it well. Even though I don't really play Magic anymore, I'm personally really happy they've started doing a little bit of license stuff with it. Because the whole idea is that it's different planes, universes, worlds, like it's fighting against each other. It's like it makes sense that you could suddenly jump to the Godzilla world they had, recently or whatever. And technically it was a different. They had Godzilla cards in it, and so that just makes sense to me. So some games the theme fits well. HeroScape works because it's people being drawn in through the multiverse. So throw whoever you want into that game. It thematically makes sense.
Yep, definitely. Melanie, did you have one that you're looking forward to, or whether Kickstarter or game that you just haven't played yet that you'd like to?
I'm not on Kickstarter a lot. He's the Kickstarter guy.
It's probably safer that way. Yeah.
It's not.
I mean, if you were both on there, it would be really bad, but
Yeah.
It probably just leads to me not getting a lot of games because she's already backed something and it's like, no, I've got one back. You got to back off now.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know, honestly, actually.
Okay, fair enough. All right. And last question, and then I'll let you guys go. What is or do you have a favorite mechanic in games? I know you've been saying abstract this whole time, if that's it, but if you have anything specific other than that.
I like story stuff. Like Betrayal is obviously very story driven.
Yep.
Well, can be. And then we have these the choose your own adventure games.
I've seen those. I haven't played one.
They're really good. And
Okay.
I love making decisions and like story based stuff. That's how I like my video games too. But yeah, I like story stuff.
Yeah, big story person.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if it's necessarily something I go for in all my games and stuff, but something I'll always kind of perk my ears up about, and it is usually with card games. But when card games have some sort of, I don't want to say comeback mechanic because some people will take that the wrong. Some people really don't like comeback. They're like, no, I'm winning. I should be winning.
Mm-hmm.
But I like something that gives at least some sort of even minor help to the person because, and I think it's just, personally, I don't get any enjoyment out of a game where like someone's just being beaten. I'm sure some people do, like, I'm the dominant one and I love this, but personally, like, I don't feel good when that's me. I don't feel good when I'm the person doing that, just beating someone down and nothing's going their way. It'll make the game feel like it's lasting a million years and you're just kind of wanting it to end, and that's no fun. So I personally really love when game has something that can kind of counterbalance that, because the more often I think your game comes down to being kind of a close match, the better.
Yeah.
It's always good to be like, oh man, just a couple difference, another turn I could have got you or something like that. In one of our more recent designs, I kind of took the shield mechanic from old Duel Masters or Kai Judo and implemented that into a game we're working on called Wonton Destruction.
Okay. Yeah, no, I definitely agree with that too, where I'm the same way where, I don't want the catch-up mechanic to be like, okay, and you do the super move and now you just lost half of your points and now it's back, really close. But just if the game, I prefer it to be, I guess, not so much a catch-up mechanic. I just like, I guess overall just the game being balanced to where you don't really know, and at the end you're like, okay, I got this, and then you get that last moment of, oh man, I thought I was winning. Like, how did you get those last points, or whatever it is. But yeah, catch up mechanics are great too in the
when used properly.
Yeah, when used properly, exactly. Yeah, I've seen a couple where it seems like it just like they overshoot it, and it's just like, oh well, okay.
Yeah, you don't want to feel, as the person who was winning, you don't want to feel cheated.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
It's good to have the other person just feel completely, utterly crushed.
Yeah, yep, I totally agree. All right, guys. So with that, we'll go ahead and start wrapping this up here. So back to you guys, the Barons game room. I keep wanting to say the Barons board game. The Barons game room. I did it in the review too, and I felt so bad. I'm like, oh no, I look like I forgot your guys' name. And it's like I started to say the Barons board game, and I caught myself, and I was like, oh no. But yes, the Barons game room. Vilitum's on Kickstarter now. Jordan's got it pulled up there, so still got 18 days to go for anybody that is either watching this now or sees this at a later date. Definitely go check it out. I agree that I think you guys have undersold yourselves a little bit here, because it's a great game. It's a lot of fun. Maybe later editions, you can charge appropriately for your services. I don't know, but I'm really looking forward to this. As I've said many times, I can't wait to get all these 3D pieces and the rings and like that full version all set up. But anything else you guys wanted to throw out there for Vilitum? Anything?
Follow us on Facebook.
Yeah, I mean, other than Vilitum, if you want to keep up with the rest of us stuff, because as I mentioned, we've got a release list. Basically, we're working our way down through. So if you guys want to keep up with that, we're on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. We don't have quite a YouTube channel like you yet. We've only got one video posted at the moment, but we're trying.
Yep.
And technically, we're on TikTok. I'm trying that whole thing.
Yep.
You know, it's there. I'm totally not out of place on that side at all.
Yeah. And we'll be sure to link everything in the video for you guys. Is it thebaronsgameroom.com or is it I can't remember if that's
so just the website is baronsgames.com.
Okay.
We couldn't get the Barons Game Room. That one was somehow taken or wasn't allowed or something like that.
All right. Well, yeah,
you know how that kind of stuff goes, you know.
Yep.
Someone's already got your name or something somewhere. So we ended up going with Barons Games was our second choice for any time we couldn't get the Barons Game Room.
Mm-hmm.
Gotcha. All right. Well, like I said, we'll link all that stuff in the video for anybody that watches later. Other than that, for anybody that was watching later, thanks for joining us. This has been OmniLucid Presents, our live interview with the Barons Game Room. Thanks so much for doing this, guys. Really appreciate it. It's been fun.
Thanks for reaching out.
Thank you.
Yep,
for having us
definitely. All right. And then we will see everybody next time. Have a good one.
Don't die stupidly. I'm going to die.